thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Oh, absolutely.
And feel free to introduce yourself, your favorite works. We're so happy to have you on Nerd Network News, Greg.
Thank you for having me, Nerd Network News. My name is Greg Ayres. I'm a voiceover guy. I've been doing this for, feels so weird to say, 23 or 24 years now. It's hard to pick a favorite role. Some of my favorites, Koyuki and Beck, Godton, Dead Man Wonderland. Oh, there's so many. I'm like in 300 and some shows, so it's hard. It's like picking your most beautiful child. And then I'm currently working on My Hero and Haikyuu and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, and I will forever be in the Dragon Ball universe. Nobody dies in Dragon Ball. We just keep coming back and fighting more and more. So yeah.
That is absolutely
so true.
I loved your arc in the Dragon Ball universe. I think
it's fun.
They did that so well, just with the slow reveals and then your voice acting. Really
it's fun. It's really fun. It's weird to be in a show that's existed for so long and then be anything new. Like, when I got put in the role of Guldo, it's because they, when they first did Dragon Ball, there was such a smaller talent pool. And so as they've done newer iterations of Dragon Ball, they've broadened the cast. So doing Guldo was fun, and I love that character. That character is so much fun. But Frost was new. Like, Frost was something brand new, and so it was really cool. And so, yeah, it's always neat to be put into something that's got such a huge lineage, wait, I'm a new character in Dragon Ball? So it's kind of fun, but yeah, I loved it, yeah. And all the video games, because I'm a big gamer, so anytime there's another video game, I'm like, yeah, I'm in another video game. The what? Console.
Yes.
I am such a console guy, only because I used to be, my previous life, I was an IT guy, and I watched so many people destroy their computers putting games on them. And now that I know machines are built specifically for gaming, what bothers me about those is the dumb cost. My best friend stood in the snow for 2 hours to pay $1,000 for a video card. I'm like, no, I will fight people for a PS5 any day of the week, but I am not
online at that.
Well, it was during the chip shortage, and it was like you couldn't get an RTX, and he just literally stood in the snow in DC.
That was when the 4090s were sold up. Yeah.
It was bad enough that there was such a hard time getting them. It was like the PS5s. It's like, this is ridiculous. But it was super expensive. And I'm like, and every time somebody would do the PC Master Race, I'm like, I didn't pay $1,000 for my video card. Enjoying my sweet PS5 life,
You are my favorite interview. You're the first one to agree with me on the PlayStation.
I love it. I just want to turn it on and play. I don't want to have to upgrade it and new drivers. I just...
reverse compatible.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I'm an avid gamer. That's the hardest thing about being at a convention is I can't play video games while I'm here. And then if I go in the video game room, somebody wants to play a fighting game with me. I'm like, I am not gonna play a fighting game with a child. No, let me play my scary horror games and scream and throw things at my television. So
that's how I am.
Yeah, I love it. Love being scared.
Don't scream.
The what?
Don't scream. It's gonna be one where you have to have a mic, and if you scream, you lose.
Absolutely. I'll just find other ways to be scared. That's so good. The funny thing about me playing scary games is I'm a cynic. I don't believe in ghosts or UFOs or anything. I don't believe in things I can't touch. And so, if you can scare me, I'm so impressed. I'm so excited because I don't believe in monsters and things. But I'm a sucker for, a scary game and get totally wrapped up in it. So I think I enjoy being scared as much as I enjoy playing the games. But yeah, and man, we have so many good scary games coming out. So
yes.
I want to play Luto. I just saw the demo for Luto. They just ported the one that looks like a Geiger. It looks like Geiger artwork. Okay, I'm going to scream out the name later. But it's only been available on PC for a long time, and it's just been ported to PS5. Finally finished Visage, and almost pooped myself playing Visage. And now, of course, we have all the Silent Hill content that's about to sucker punch us, so I'm excited about all that.
Being a horror gamer, if you know someone that has a PC, try the Amnesia games.
Oh, and they've ported those. Weirdly enough, I'm one of the only people that does. I've played them, and I'm just like, okay.
Did you play the new one?
I haven't played the new one yet, but I do have the collection with all the old ones.
The new one?
The new one's good? Okay, I'll check it out for sure, yeah.
It's really good.
That's awesome, and I'm really excited about Slitterhead, Have y'all seen that? It's by the original. It's by the original Silent Hill team, and it looks intense. And of the new Silent Hill games, I'm super excited about Silent Hill F, which everybody's calling it F, but I think it's Silent Hill Forte because it's the Forte F, which means loud, which is so cool, or like dynamic loudness. The story is written by the guy that did Higurashi, so now we know it will be really messed up. So I'm excited about all that for sure.
And being that you love the horror games, leading into more of the animes, what was it like being in another?
Sakakibara. In fact, that's one of my favorite characters. It's, really? Oh man, okay, now I'm gonna get really nerdy. So my brother directed that show. And the thing I always loved about working with my brother as a director is you could correct him. There's some directors like, well, I'm the director, it's gonna be this way. Well, Chris, because he was my older brother, grew up with a weeby, little brother, and the neat thing about anime is there's always somebody that knows more about an anime than you. So you can't pretend you know everything because there's somebody that's actually, in an interview, Ano said, blah, blah, blah. There's always more to the story. Well, so when we first started working on another, and I was into it just because it's spooky and Monica and I were playing opposite each other as usual, and I just told the story on my panel. The funny thing is when we were working on Dead Man Wonderland, Monica and I said to each other, we're like, this show is so cool. I don't think we'll ever do anything this bloody ever again. And then a year later, we're in this bloodbath called Another. It was just blood everywhere. So I was working on it, and a friend of mine that loves the manga, they're like, oh, have you gotten to the talking doll yet? And I go, talking doll? And she goes, yeah, the woman in the shop. She's an automaton. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, there's an old lady in the shop, and she always says the same thing. She's a doll. She's a talking doll. So I'm like, hang on. So I call my brother. I'm like, hey, have you recorded the scene with the woman in the shop? He goes, yeah. I go, who's playing that role? He's like, Marcy Banner. I was like, okay, she's a doll, right? And he goes, what? I go, she's a talking doll. He goes, no, she appears several times. And I go, no. Apparently she says the same thing every time you see her. And he goes, hang on. And he went back to the studio and checked it the next day, and he scrapped all of the extra and used the first, that, if it was 7 lines. I mean, she got paid for all the work she did, but he just used those, he copied and pasted, because he's like, oh my God, I would have never known that was a doll. So the fact that we got introduced to an actress that is fantastic named Molly Searcy, and without giving anything away, because there's a huge reveal, but there was an actress that had a double life that you don't know about until the very end of that show. The problem with voice actors is you can't get a voice past anybody, because people that are voice actor fans know the minute Lucy Christian speaks, they're like, Lucy Christian, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, they just know. Yeah. So Chris had this unbelievably hard task of finding an actress no one knew who could believably be two totally different sounding people. And he was like, how am I going to do this? Molly had just moved to Houston from New York and had been doing theater in New York. She'd never done any anime. And he's like, can I hear your adult voice? Can I hear you? And he was just like, oh my God, you're perfect. And it was her big breakout role. And now she's still working to this day, but it was such a neat show. I love it. There's a really funny thing that only people also that have seen Dead Man Wonderland get this joke. The whole thing, Shiro in Dead Man Wonderland wants to ride the Ferris wheel. There's that whole last scene where she wants to ride the Ferris wheel. Well, at the end of Another, it's, May and I walking up the hill, and he's trying to get the nerve to ask her out on a date. She's like, well, what would we do? He asks her to go to the fair, and he's like, well, what would we do there? I was like, I don't know. Ride the Ferris wheel? And she goes, I hate Ferris wheels. And I'm like, every time I hear her say it makes me laugh, because I'm like, this is the polar opposite of the end. I mean, it's literally the end of Dead Man Wonderland is them talking about that Ferris wheel. So I hate Ferris wheels.
The word Ferris wheel never gets written.
Never, in either show. Doesn't get written, yeah. There'll be its own show about the sad Ferris wheel, no one loved.
Just in the background, just take the Ferris wheel from the Inuyasha end credits.
Oh God, yeah. So good, yeah. But yeah.
Oh my God. Well, as a voice actor, handling some difficult roles, Frost comes to mind because he had big secret. A lot of your characters, in fact, have secrets or reveals.
Yeah.
That task of being able to totally be believable before the reveal and also be totally believable during the reveal.
It is. Sometimes our directors help with that. Like a lot of times the directors will have us go in a certain direction so that we don't give something away. Great example of that. And I'm of the same idea that a lot of other directors, like, actors really shouldn't know how things end because it affects your performance. Like, if I know I'm about to die in a show, every line will be a little too melodramatic or whatever because I'm like, oh, this must be where I'm gonna die. Well, so they did not want, because Ganta at the end of Dead Man still has no clue, which is one of the most frustrating things about watching the end of that show, is no clue who the Red Man is. So we recorded parts of that show out of order. Oh. And myself and Monica were the last two people to find out who the Red Man was. And it was funny to know that they could keep it a secret from Monica, but sometimes they will even go out of their way to record us in a weird way so that we're not spoiled on things. So Joel McDonald did that. Sometimes it's through the help of a director, like, Matt Greenfield's real good at kind of easing you into something that's supposed to be a big reveal. But yeah, it's always interesting to see how it's handled when there is a big secret or, when something like that's going to happen.
Absolutely, and the performances were incredible. I can't imagine, doing Ganta, that sounded like it hurt so many times.
The funniest thing is, Ganta has a funny tie-in with Another, too. It's funny, Dead Man and Another are always tied together. Once upon a time, I did this story called Salty Ray, and I love it. I play this inconsequential character who, the minute you meet this character, you know he's going to die, because the first time you see him, he's vomiting blood in a sink. So, like, oh, that kid's dying of consumption. The minute you meet him, you're like, oh, this is going to be a bad ending. Well, that was the first thing I had to do. And my director at the time was Leah Clark. And so the first thing I had to do was make a throw-up noise. And I almost made her throw up on her computer because it was apparently a very believably gross throw-up noise. So, of course, I had to throw up in Dead Man Wonderland. And Joel was like, oh, man, I finally get to hear this in person. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, apparently you're like the throw-up guy. I was like, how am I the throw-up guy? So I did it. He goes, oh, yeah, that's nasty. Well, so when we were working on Another, there's a scene where a teacher dies in a very graphic manner. Well, my character does not speak because I'm the lead. And so he just does one of those moments where he backs up and he's like, and it's just one of those like, oh, I can't believe it. There's a child just throwing up a river in the back of the room. And so when we got to it, I looked at my brother, I was like, can I please be the throw-up guy? Because only if it doesn't sound like Koichi. And I was like, got it. So then I did a really gross one in that. So it's so funny that I would say the believability and the screaming in Dead Man Wonderland came from a show that I did many years before called Gantz. And I play this awful, the worst character I've ever played, a 16-year-old serial killer. And I mean, like, that's the nicest thing about him, is that he's he is horrifying. The stuff that he does is like, you want me to say what? The end of the show, and it's weirdly enough, it was the first big fight scene my brother and I ever recorded together, because my brother is the lead in Gantz. I get set on fire and scream for a minute nonstop. And because it was for a director that is a perfectionist, I probably recorded that 15 or 20 times.
Oh, good God.
And it was the best thing is it was the day before we started Negima, where I play a 9-year-old British school teacher. So the first day's recording of Negima sounded like, hello everyone, my name is Negi Springfield. And Colleen was like, what is wrong with your voice? And I was like, I just had to get set on fire last night. So the whole first day's recording of Negima was actually scrapped because of Gantz. But because I had to do those just blood-curdling screams, the moment when they're preparing him, where they have the things in his eyes and you hear him screaming as the camera cuts off at the end of that one episode of Dead Man, I forget what a gnarly scream I have. And the first time I watched that episode, I'm like, ooh, that hurts my throat listening to it. So I'm grateful because it seems like one role always preps you for a role you're going to have further down the road.
Sure.
So yeah.
Did you get to listen to Sean Schemmel in the booth doing his Goku screams?
Hurts. Man, my brother and Sean were very close friends. I've heard Sean for so many years. I don't know if y'all have y'all heard the one where he passes out? I've had access to bloopers that most people have never heard, but there's one where he did a scream and he literally passed out, where he just knocked him unconscious.
Was that where he Super Saiyan 3?
I'm not sure, because when we hear the bloopers, there's no context. It's just like, oh, listen, this is the one where Sean passes out. And you don't hear, it's not a noise. What you hear is the stool bump, and you know that's when he went in the floor. Like, you just hear the, and that's it. And like, the mic catches kind of the reverberation of everything in the booth moving. Yeah, but it's weird because, like, that screaming is so normal to me. So, like, you know, the Dragon Ball actors are like, oh, I've got to scream today. And so when I went to record Dragon Ball, they're like, now we're going to hold off all the screaming until the end. I was like, okay, that makes sense. We don't blow my voice out until the end. So we did it, and there was one of those big, like, you know, this big ramp-up screams. And I did it, but the end was supposed to be, it was a landing, like a connecting punch. And what I ended up doing was this thing that was more like, and I was like, no, that's wrong. I was like, it needs to be a, you know, it has to come down, like there's a connect. Yeah. And they're like, and I did it, but it's a super long scream. And I go, oh, I messed that up. Let me do it again. And they're like, can you do that again? I was like, well, I messed it up. I have to. And they're like, it's okay. You can do it again. I'm like, I think I can. Let's do it. And so I did it. And they're like, oh man, yeah, that was better. And so we got to another one. I'm like, no, I got another one in me. And they're like, you're okay with this, right? I'm like, we wait until the end of the day. If I blow my voice out, it's okay. So it's funny because I don't think all this screaming is a big deal, but I'm sure I'm also not playing Goku. I don't have to do it all day, every day, all day long. But yeah, screaming is something that I don't do a lot, so I just go all out when I get to do it. So, but yeah, I have heard him pass out. Yeah, I've slowed down on new projects a little bit. I'm doing a lot of continuing stuff. I'm still doing My Hero. Like, why can't I think of the name of this show? My Hero, Haikyuu. I think we have one more little piece of Haikyuu. I think we're finally done with Food Wars. There's some games, but I don't know if those are going to ever get dubbed. There's always more Dragon Ball. This is, weirdly enough, a busy time. Like, I had a con 2 weeks ago. I had a vacation where I broke my ribs. Then I have this con. I'm in Burlington, Vermont next week. I have a week off. I'm in Portland, Maine, a week off, Dallas, and then Chicago. So I'm like, well, I guess I get to play my new video games one day. Like, I want to buy the new Mario game, but I'm like, when am I going to have time for a Mario game? When am I going to, like, but the cool thing about that kind of game is I can at least play that on the plane on my Switch.
Right.
What is your best socials for people to find you, follow you, keep up with your work?
I hate my answer. I hate social media.
A-okay.
I mean, I have a Facebook group, but I don't manage it or a Facebook page. My best friend manages it. Nice. Just because some of the roles I play attract some weird attention. So my best friend manages that. I have an Instagram that I haven't updated since before the pandemic. I have an X account, but I haven't used it in 4 or 5 years. Because when everything in my life started to catch fire, it was very interesting to watch social media. I still read social media and I keep up with my friends, but like I had 2 people in my life that were fighting for their life. I was watching the beginning of a pandemic. I was watching all these horrible things, and I was watching people argue about like the Avengers edit. And I'm like, I'm so glad that your life, honestly, is going so well that this is what you have to be upset about. Nothing going on in my life is happy right now, and I'm not going to pretend I'm living a life that I'm not. So I will just sit here silently and let y'all argue about Spider-Man and Avengers. But the neat thing about taking a step back is now fandoms got really kind of nasty with each other online, and it's definitely been since the pandemic. I think everybody went a little stir crazy during the pandemic, but like, I'm glad that I'm not in the middle of these mudslinging matches and like I'm just getting familiar with my new dog or taking my mom for a long drive or so, you know, like I'd rather be living my life than arguing about how I'm either living it right or not living it right. I'd rather be living it. I have social media. I'm not ignorant to social media. I see what's going on, but like once in a blue moon when there's like a new album I'm excited about, or somebody will post pictures from a rave that I've done that I like, I'll do that. And then I have that other whole part of my life. I'm also focused on music and doing DJ stuff, so I'll occasionally get involved, but I'm not like I have friends that are like, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram, and my Instagram is this, my Snapchat is this, and I'm like, I have those things, I don't use them anymore. Like I feel like such an old man, like I'm the old raver shaking my glow cane at everybody. Get off my social media. It's no longer get off my lawn. It's get off my social media. But
I love that.
Yeah. But I did get a great term because I'm still a DJ and I still play these parties that go on till like 5 a.m. and I'm like, we were calling our old goth friends Granddaddy Bats or Old Bats, and I was like, what do you call old ravers? And my friend goes, Gravers. And I was like, that's so good. So I'm officially a graver. I'm the old raver, so I love it. But yeah, so I'm just shaking my Glocky. Get off my social media. So, well, yeah, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun. I always never know what... I was telling my friends I walked into the most awkward interview the other day, and so I'm always like, I hope this is going to be fun. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
yeah, thank you guys. And thank you guys for tuning into Nerd Network News. Ooh, yeah, awesome, yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you again.
Thank you guys.